So good morning, everybody, and welcome to this weekly webinar that we are hosting here back at Work Avenue. Looking forward to, first of all, welcome to those of you who haven't attended one of our weekly webinars. We've had one for the last few weeks and they've been really successful. So welcome to everybody who's not here normally. We're delighted to welcome Joanna Michaels, who is a social media expert, and I'll let her introduce herself in a few minutes. But just first of all, I'm also going to introduce, for those of you who don't know us, my name is Joanna Sadie. I head up the business team here at Work Avenue, and Hannah Mindell, who will wave now, and I've just unmuted.
The rest of the business team.
Yes, is the rest of the business team. So welcome to everybody who doesn't know us, and we are here to be able to still help with one-to-one business advice. If you need support, if there's things that we can do to talk about, you know, how to try and keep running your business during these challenging times. And also for those of you who haven't heard about it, Work Avenue are also administering a emergency community fund for people who are suffering and from kind of hardship during this challenging time. So please go to our website for more information on that. Just a few house rules. I will keep everybody muted while Joanna is talking. Joanna's going to kind of go through some slides. Please ask questions on the chat. So the chat is open now for everybody who wants to just ask a question. Somebody's muted. Yes. Somebody needs to mute themselves, please. I should have muted you all. Thank you. So I'm going to now hand over to Joanna Michaels, and she's going to take us through how to use social media during this lockdown period. So yeah, please ask questions. We have got a few, but please ask questions on the chat. Over to you, Joanna.
Thank you for having me at Work Avenue again. We've worked together before, so it's lovely to come back in a different form now online, but it's great to be back. So thanks so much for having me. I will perhaps open my presentation, share screen. Let me see if it's all working well here. One moment. Okay, here we are. Joe, is it looking good on your side?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, perfect. So very briefly, a few words about myself. I'm a social media coach. I've been running a social media consulting business based in North London, in Muswell Hill specifically, that helps startups and small and medium businesses succeed at social media. My main work really focuses about helping startups and small and medium businesses with their social media strategies, so planning successful social media activity that actually brings tangible results. And apart from my consultancy work, I also work with a few startup hubs. The biggest one would be Enterprise Nation. So I'm one of their trainers and mentors for small business. And I also work with Facebook on a specific campaign, which is the Shimi's Business campaign that supports female entrepreneurs in their social media journeys and building their brands on social media. So in a nutshell, all my work really focuses around startups and small and medium businesses and assisting them in their social media journeys. That's me. And I thought that we'll perhaps start from, I'm just opening my notes on my side, sorry. I thought that we'll start from looking at different opportunities that social media presents our businesses with at this time. So of course, depending on your industry, depending on your type of business, you might have been experiencing different things. So just by talking to my clients, some people are busier than ever. So one of my clients is an educational app for primary schools, and it was very slow going. the last year, and now they are experiencing the peak of their activity and loads of different opportunities there. Some of my clients, of course, seen a drop in revenue, and they are kind of waiting to see what will be happening next. Some of my clients are pretty much frozen, so anything to do with property, it's been very hard on that end. So different experiences, definitely a tricky time. However, I think this time has showed us that marketing is more important than ever. One, because of the power of communication, which is terribly important in this time of uncertainty. So so your customers know exactly what's happening, whether it's to do with the money, with refunds, or just general communications, clarity on what's happening from the side of the business. But also the fact that internet and social media has experienced a massive spike in activity. So we know that across social media channels, 40% increase in activity on social media. And of course, what it means for business is a lot of exposure. So a lot more people can learn about what you do if you choose to stay present. So also this time presents us with opportunity to do things that we never have time for. And it's a good time for reflection. That's why I thought I'll start with auditing your presence. So if you already are present on social media, if you already have channels, you've already had activity there, it's a great opportunity to look at your analytics. How have we been doing over the last few months? What's working? Which of the social media channels that we use drive the highest amount of traffic to the website? Who are our followers? So social media platforms provide you with all these analytics where you can see exactly, are the people who are following me, do they reflect the people that I want to attract? So auditing your presence. What are we doing well? Who is our community? Do they reflect the people we want to, the people or the type of businesses, depending on whom you're working with? Are our connections reflecting whom we want to attract? And also perhaps having opportunity to look at your competition. How can we learn from them? What are they doing well? How can we do it better? So definitely an opportunity for taking stock.
Joanna, can I just ask on this, have you found that it's been a good opportunity for people to try and target new, you know, a new element or new sector of a target audience? Has that worked? Have you got any, I mean, obviously if you don't, that's fine, but have you found any businesses that you've worked with that have managed to attract new customers at this time?
I think nothing springs to mind immediately. I think with my clients, so my clients are a mixture of travel, property. Yes, of course, I do have example. Yes, psychotherapy centers are very busy. Right. So I work with a psychotherapy center here in North London. How could I forget? And they are experiencing a very busy time. Initially, there was a transition process with making regular clients, stroke patients, comfortable with the new medium. So shifting from offline face-to-face contact to online or phone counseling. So some of it happens that way as well. But there is an increased interest in mental health support. So definitely opportunity there. Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Joe. So we've touched on auditing, so taking stock. My next tip would be looking at your social media strategy. So many small businesses run their activity without planning, and that often, well, almost always ends up in wasted time and resources. So a great opportunity now to either create a social media strategy if you haven't had one in place before. And what do we mean by this? A plan, effectively, that lists your objectives, that ensures that what you do on social media supports your overall business goals. And also that there are measures in place to see how will you be measuring your success on those platforms. great opportunity to review your message, have a good think about your unique selling points, but the message also, you know, when people see our profiles, our business profiles on social media, do they get exactly very fast what we are about? Who is our audience? How do we solve their problems? So loads of opportunities in terms of strategy. Also developing the brand story, and the current situation can help, because I would imagine that there is a heightened level of empathy because a lot of people are going through different motions. It's important to share your story now. So a good opportunity for building your story and sharing your story on social media now. Visibility, very important. So again, I want to say it with compassion, because a lot of businesses have been, obviously, people are feeling anxious, and it didn't come very easy to everyone just to dive in this situation and pivot and say, okay, no problem, I will, you know, transition very quickly to this, or I will, you know, adjust my business model. For some, perhaps it comes easier. For some of us, not so. It can be a slower process, but whatever is comfortable with you, be mindful of the importance of staying visible, purely because the usage level has gone up. So we, as I said, 40% more activity on social media channels. Instagram is the busiest channel, so the busiest spike in activity in that sense. So more opportunity for exposure. Less content has been shared initially. So what does it mean? So basically, because of the crisis, a lot of businesses and brands went quiet initially or shared less. So we know that end of March and beginning of April, 25% of content, 25% less content was shared by brands across social media. And what does it mean for business? Of course, less crowd, more opportunity for visibility. So in a nutshell, your organic visibility, your free visibility on social media is higher now. So it would be great to take advantage of this situation.
So Joanna, I've had a question which might be relevant here from Rivka, saying, are there any apps or sites that you would recommend to be able to pull all of the analytics together in one place, to be able to keep reviewing them? Rivka, I hope that was the right question. I'm going, oh, it is, she's putting her thumb up. Good. So yes, were there any, you know, any apps that you would recommend to look at analytics as a whole?
Yes, so I think in terms of reporting, social media management platforms would help. So either Buffer or maybe even better Hootsuite, and pulling reports from there and having them all in one place, and a good way of comparing how different sites are performing. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So yes, so staying visible, taking advantage of higher visibility and higher engagement. I mean, engagement on Instagram at the moment is through the roof. And in a nutshell, while as a business on Facebook, you cannot approach anyone and everyone, you cannot, purely because of privacy, the way the privacy is managed on Facebook, you can talk to anyone who's got a public Instagram account. So in terms of you being proactive as a business and reaching out to new potential clients on Instagram and being responsive and being social, fantastic opportunities for exposure, because people are so ready to talk to people at the moment. I would like to touch on goodwill as well. I'm sure you've heard about different initiatives out there now by larger businesses. So businesses like Ford, I know that Ford, of course, they were aware that they won't be selling perhaps as many cars as they would normally at this time. So they were repurposing some of their equipment, some of their materials, into creating respirators and collaborating with different health organizations. I know that the Calm app has free membership at the moment. So of course, these are big players, but in terms of small business, we can also do our bit, especially that this is an unprecedented situation, and how we behave now will be remembered and talked about long after this is over. So I think, how can we pay it forward? So I've seen some lovely initiatives out there in the community. I've seen business coaches sharing, running free masterminding sessions. These are literally like 30-minute sort of kickstarting sessions to give people a feel-good vibe and help them to plan their week. I've seen yoga teachers, again, doing free classes. Personally, I run a bi-weekly networking meeting for local North London businesses via Zoom to get people together and basically keep them together and share ideas. So I think we can all do a little bit during this time that gives back to the community and exactly creates a goodwill, because it's definitely worth it and it's important in this time. And my last point here would be to be proactive and responsive, and that goes back to high engagement levels, but also how social media works. So strategizing and creating the right message and beautiful videos is only one part of the story, because of course the other side of the story is the conversation. And if we think that we will be pushing our content, our posts out there and sit and wait, that won't necessarily have the same effect if we actually step out of our zone and talk to people and reach out to people. So being proactive and responsive, being open. So opening conversations on social media and not just perhaps waiting to be approached. Adjusting your message to the current climate is obviously very important. I think my personal experience is about striking the right balance. So on one hand, in my case, I'm not a COVID specialist, so I cannot possibly be posting about it because I don't know enough about it. But equally, I cannot ignore the fact that it's happening. So how can we shape our message in a way that's still business related, but we of course are conscious of the situation and the fact that people's emotions are heightened now, high levels of sensitivity. So of course we don't want to come across as insensitive or annoying. So this is an important one. So being compassionate, understanding that not all of our clients are in a position to buy now from us, and adjusting the sales message, specifically things like, I mean, subtle things to consider, maybe buy now or last chance to buy. So certain business sales communications perhaps need to be, it would be good to rethink those and let people know that we are talking to everybody and we remember about everyone, those who can buy and those who cannot buy in this time. So I've seen different brands doing it differently. Sometimes people adding additional things like, you know, we know it's a difficult time, but we know that some of you are still in need of XYZ, and here it is in case if anybody needs it. So just basically adjusting your sales message and perhaps considering donating a portion of sales to a good cause, either NHS or any other frontline workers. So I've seen that being done as well. I think it's a nice idea.
We've had a question, Joanna, about kind of conversations on social media. So obviously making sure we strike the right, you know, tying into your point about striking the right balance. So, you know, would you expect, we've had a question from Daniel Grunwald to say, would you expect that one would spend more time on content rather than conversations, or more on conversations, or about half-half? And if you need more explanation, then I will.
Fine, of course,
I will.
Daniel, it's
I will
question. It's
ask him.
It's a very good question. Very frequently asked question. Daniel, I would say half-half, and the reason why is because we have to stay visible. So really, regular content, absolutely. And why I say regular, I cannot stress it enough, because if I like what you say, I will expect to hear more. So don't let me down. So if you start posting and you see a good response, keep the momentum going with regular posts, because your audience will expect more to hear from you. And being responsive, absolutely. Being responsive and being proactive, because that widens your reach, and because there is so many more people on social media platforms now willing to engage, that can of course widen your community, and when the time is right, opportunity for increasing sales. So
does that, Daniel, does that answer your question? Yes? Okay, good.
Cool. So I also wanted to talk to those businesses who cannot sell at the moment. So I have some ideas here for you. I would like to talk to you about gardening companies. So I spoke to a large gardening company where I am in Muswell Hill. They might not be able to sell, and they might not be able to send their people to look after the gardens. However, I know that gardening centers have been very busy, because of course we all went crazy about gardening, because what else is there to do? And it's a lovely activity, and it of course provides a lot of tranquility in our lives. So I've been talking to this gardening company, landscaping company, and we've been looking at different ideas of engaging with audience and testing them now. So because people are stuck, and because a lot of people are engaging with their gardens a lot more than ever, they need advice, because of course a lot of the time they don't know what they're doing. So a great opportunity for a gardening company to come in with short videos, top tips, talking about what's growing out there, you know, how to look after it, this plants like the sun, this plants like whatever is that they want to share. Fantastic opportunity to build the conversation. So when the time is right, the trust has been built, the likability factor is there, and hence so much easier to move into transactions when the time is right. The other example would be travel companies. So I've worked with a startup, travel startup that actually came to me through Work Avenue. Lovely, lovely message, lovely business. It's a new business. They've done only a few months of trading, and now waiting for this time to pass. But it was great to see them being positive and wanting to spend this time on planning their message, adjusting their strategy, and we were looking at different things. So they will be using this time to connect with partners, different partnering hotels, wherever they are, building conversations, using LinkedIn to reaching out to potential partners, potential collaborations. But also in terms of content, we thought about different ideas on what could be appropriate now. And we've discussed array of ideas, but anything around holiday dreaming. So obviously asking the audience to contribute photos. So a lot of sort of resharing of content, but also sharing photos that bring a peaceful feelings. So sounds of the sea. So loads of different things that can still be done to keep the conversation going with the right tone of voice, but staying visible. So yes.
And we have a few beauticians apparently on the webinar, and can they use those top tips as well?
Absolutely, going live with you know.
I think we all need it for because we're all very visible on our on the screens. How to maybe get a good screen look, I would say, would be a good.
No, but this is a fantastic idea, and I have to admit, I watched one of those videos on YouTube recently. How to make yourself good, look good. And you know, and it's ridiculous and it's vain, but absolutely, this is important. So there could be a series of short videos on how to, I don't know, you know, how to look glowy and healthy on video. All sorts of funny.
And it's not just for the women, is it? It's all for the men as well.
Not at all. I mean, for men, I mean, anything from, I saw things like yoga, facial yoga, and like, you know, sort of self-massage for face, and loads of different things. So there is an opportunity for engagement, and you know, this is all positive stuff. Some of it is funny, and anything entertaining on social media always goes a longer way. So I think there is definitely an opportunity there.
We've just had Annie saying, I did consider not going on video today as my hair is such a mess. But Annie, we're pleased to have you on video. It's nice to be able to see a face.
Welcome, Annie. And you know, as for her, what I have found out in that YouTube video, I loved it. She said, don't worry about the back of your hair, just do the front of it. Which I thought was genius. Okay, so going back to my tips, automation, be careful with pre-scheduled messages. So Buffer and Hootsuite will allow us to post our content, and the content will be shared automatically. But of course, situation is changing very fast. So the message that you wanted to share a week ago might not be relevant or might come across as insensitive this week. So just being careful with how much ahead we can plan our content. Focusing on high quality content, of course, as always. What can you provide now to your clients and your potential clients on social media? What do they need now? How could you be of value? How could you be of help? So I think being more considerate than ever and thinking about frequency, like I said to Daniel before, regular posts. They get used to hearing from you. Don't let them down. Keep going. And if it doesn't mean perhaps every day, maybe it's every other day, or whatever is the frequency that suits your ability at the moment. And of course, video. I mean, we are all drawn to video. We don't all like video. I really don't like video. I don't like videos of myself, but I'm challenging myself and I'm trying to change that, because this opportunity gives us a great, this time gives us opportunity to step out of our comfort zone.
Do you have any statistics on video? Because I did get a question before the webinar about the benefit of video over,
Yes.
you know, just posting or blogging. So do you have any statistics on views from that perspective?
Absolutely. So what's interesting here, I think, first of all, the way we work and the way we capture information. So movement and noise always, of course, attracts more attention than a static post. Secondly, how we memorize messages on social media. So we know that in terms of studies on video, an average viewer remembers 95% of the message when it's watched and only 10% when it's viewed. So how we absorb information, 95% of your message on the video will be remembered, as opposed to 10% of the message shared via post. So I think that's quite interesting. A lot more engagement. So we know that videos, I think it's on average 10 times more engaging in terms of static posts, so comments, likes, shares. So huge opportunity for engagement. Another thing is that a lot of those videos play automatically. So when you think about it, when you scroll through the newsfeed, of course your eyes are drawn to movement, and all these things are there for a reason, because of course social media platforms are built to keep you engaged for longer than you initially intended.
So we've had another question from Daniel about, I guess, just positioning of screen and brightness, because that, I guess, will affect, you know, so what your background is, you know, and yeah, so I presume that makes a difference. And he also said how much is retained by audio podcasts without video, but you're saying that anyway, that video is more, well, although podcasts are now very successful, or people are listening to them a lot as well.
Daniel, I don't know the statistics for podcasts, but as Joe said, and I'm sure that's where your question comes from, podcasts are fabulous. You can cook and listen, and you can do other things, and you can drive and listen, or exercise and listen. So I think podcasts are, again, another good opportunity now. If you haven't considered that for your business before, here it is. You know, think about it, look at softwares that can help you with podcasting. You don't like the video, you're not comfortable with the video, podcast could be the way to go.
Just to mention, we did actually have somebody who approached Work Avenue who can deliver a webinar on podcasts. So if we have got demand for it, then I'll look at setting that up. So just let me know on the chat or by email if there's demand for that. Sorry, Joanna, carry on.
No, Joe, that's very interesting. If it was happening, then I would definitely love to listen to that, because I think that's another great opportunity of connecting with your audience in a way that perhaps is more comfortable to a lot of people.
I've also just had a question, Joanna, from Judith Safa saying, you know, we are concerned that some people who have very sick or have lost loved ones will feel any communication is a little unwanted, and we don't want to irritate our clients. Just given we're talking about the messaging there and striking the right balance. Any thought on that?
Absolutely. I think that's a very important consideration when we think about what people go through now. We have people who lost their loved ones, which of course it's the biggest loss that we can experience. We have people who have lost jobs. We have people who are being told to work and be efficient and productive while they are caring full time for their children. So completely understand, and hence we need to adjust our message. So perhaps being overly positive won't always work either, but I think I feel it's about balance. That's obviously just my personal view on this. How do you frame your message? And I think being cautious here and considerate more than ever, and adding those sentences there, we understand that it's a very difficult time for so many people. I think it's important to say that, because it will resonate and it will be appreciated. Business as usual, it's not definitely business as usual, but equally being silent is a lost opportunity for connection. So I think finding a balance that suits your business and agrees with you and your values.
Great, thank you.
The last thing I would probably add to video is they are great for building trust, because when we see the person moving and their mannerism, and there is just so much more opportunity to show your personality in the video. And in terms of selling and fostering that that likability factor and trust, then video can definitely help here. So I have some examples for you, or maybe ideas on what you could do now on specific platforms. So LinkedIn, always a good example, the boring social media platform, but ever so full of potential. So LinkedIn in the past was often viewed as, you know, a CV site, a bit rusty perhaps. It has changed beyond belief. So LinkedIn is not only a fantastic source of content, but also gives us ability now to add rich media, video, pictures of your projects, before and afters. So it has really changed completely. Just to give you some idea on why we should care, 49% of key decision makers across all different industries are active there weekly. So key people that can help you to accelerate the growth of your business are there. People might not be talking about avocado toasts, but they are definitely there to talk about business. So it's definitely a very business-oriented platform. Another thing I want you to know is that when somebody searches for your name on Google, so let's say there is a new client, I'll talk about my business. Somebody thinks, okay, I maybe could speak to Jo about our social media strategy. Let me look her up. Very often when people look somebody up on Google, my LinkedIn profile or their LinkedIn profile will be shown before the website. So your LinkedIn profile might come higher in Google rankings than your website. Why? Because Google trusts LinkedIn. It's a very transparent platform, and Google perceives LinkedIn as a trustworthy source. And even when you think about recommendations on Google, on LinkedIn, when we compare them to our testimonials on our websites, there is no comparison. LinkedIn references and reviews can be traced all the way back to the source. Who is the person who recommended? This is the golden currency of LinkedIn in terms of building your professional brand and personal brand, your visibility online, your reputation. LinkedIn is fantastic. So that's why I've mentioned building your personal brand by improving your profile. You have time now to really look at your LinkedIn. Do I come across the way I want to come across? Is my profile optimized for keywords? So Google can search LinkedIn fully. So Google cannot access Facebook fully, for example, but LinkedIn is fully searchable by Google. That's why very often when you write an article for LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has its own publishing platform for articles and for blogs, your article very often will be found through Google search. So what a fantastic opportunity to showing your expertise. And another reason about, for example, writing articles on LinkedIn and showing your expertise is only 0.1% of LinkedIn users have ever written an article on LinkedIn. So what a fantastic opportunity for exposure. I would like you to think about sharing your experiences on LinkedIn now. So I said that it's a lot less personal platform than Instagram, but because of the current climate, as long as we keep it business relevant, it's okay to talk about how you are, how the business is transitioning. Maybe there are questions, maybe you want to ask people, you know, how to keep how to boost the team morale. Good question to ask. Bring it back to the business, but maximize engagement through sharing experience and asking questions.
Daniel's asked again, how many people read articles properly? I guess
Daniel, I wouldn't know the answer to that.
But Hannah just said she thinks people are reading more now they have the time, which is, you know, which is probably true. And I guess it depends how well written they are, you know, still keeping them short and concise and interesting.
Exactly. And what's the quality of the article? Is this a sales speech or is there a value? Because obviously we can very quickly assess, as you know, which one is it. And I think if these are written with generosity and with really a good understanding of your target audience, you have a good opportunity here to not only attract business, but also build yourself as an expert within your field. Because that's the idea of articles on LinkedIn. You are sharing your expertise, you are sharing your point of view. I think definitely worth considering. LinkedIn search, fantastic tool within LinkedIn. We often forget that LinkedIn has its own highly functioning search engine built within the platform. We can find people, content, we can search hashtags. So loads of opportunities for engagement where you can search terms that are relevant to you, your business, your community, and find conversations that are happening now where you can contribute, where you can be of value, where you can connect with people who you could potentially work with in months to come. So definitely, I cannot recommend LinkedIn enough. It's really important for us. Instagram as my favorite channel. It's an interesting one, and it has experienced the highest level of activity since all this happened. So not Facebook, not LinkedIn, Instagram. It's a very positive space. So Facebook is very much about being connected with your family and friends. On Instagram, we are often connected to strangers, but what brings us together is shared values, shared interests, and of course, inspiration and aspiration as well. So this is the pretty platform on one hand, because we have everything that people might aspire to have, to buy: beauty, property, travel, and anything that exactly where there is an element of inspiration and aspiration. But also there is a lot about motivation, self-growth, professional growth, business growth. So really, I think it's worth considering for a business. Of course, a lot easier for some businesses than others. Property businesses thrive here. Go on, John.
So Bob Griffiths, which maybe I can unmute him in a minute, says, or he could unmute himself, saying, how do you use Instagram for businesses who are service providers where it's harder to be visual for Instagram? Yes. So Bob, do you want me to
No, that's fine. I can unmute myself.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, it's just the question, obviously, when you've got some nice food business or perhaps people doing yoga, that as a business coach, you know, you can show a picture of two people talking to each other across a table, but it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
Bob, very good question. So exactly. So it's not an even playing field, because when we talk food, travel, clothes, makeup, beauty, but food specifically, I think pizza is the most Instagrammed food ever. So of course it's not as easy for other businesses. However, what can we focus on? We can focus on the values of the values of your business, your message, and how do you solve your customers' problems? And that could be done in many ways. Some of it could be branded posts with quotes, effectively with text that you can share to convey the key message of your business. People love inspirational quotes on Instagram. For me, it's actually the best performing content for me. And I talk about social media. Motivational quotes, inspirational quotes, they outperform everything else because people look for motivation, for inspiration here. As a coach, I would expect there is a lot of scope here because you know what resonates. So opportunity for branded quotes, you can do them with tools like Canva, brand them beautifully, add your logo, push it out there. Videos, really powerful way of conveying your message. How do you work? What's the difference that you bring to the table? Talk about case studies. So videos could really help here. Ask your clients to make testimonials for you. Very short video. They could maybe answer 2 questions, 3 questions, and share them as a series of why they've worked with you and what was so transformational about it and how it helped them to move on or improve or whatever you were working on together. So I think behind the scenes, people you work with, your team, and if you work on your own, the clients that you serve. I remember about a delivery business. It was an American business. Effectively, they were delivering parcels. So, you know, I mean, how interesting is this? But what they did very well, they were featuring in their social media, the key of the message were the customers, not the business. And the reciprocity on social media is huge. So putting your clients at the center of your social media presence is also a good idea. So I remember this particular company, they were sharing a lot of updates from their clients and saying, this is what's happening with the business. And of course, then there would be a note saying, it's our pleasure to be supporting, da, 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 da. So behind the scenes, you know, your day, your daily business journey, I think things that inspire you. So I think there is an opportunity there.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
My pleasure. So yes, Instagram, wider organic reach. So you are visible, a lot more visible than ever, and that's without paying for it. So it's great to take this opportunity. Another thing, stepping out of your zone. So as I said earlier, on Instagram, it's not enough to just be there and push fantastic message. That's only part of the success. So really and truly, we want to analyze our competition, who their followers are, who are the most engaged followers, who are the influencers within that specific field, or the micro influencers, even better, people with less following but highly engaged audience. Can I talk to them? Can I get on their radar? Can we start a conversation? So not only constantly and continuously sharing valuable message, but also being open to connection. Like I said, and I have to say it openly, Instagram is so much more positive than Facebook. I personally don't use Facebook much for my sort of personal life, because I think the space there can be divisive sometimes, and I think it can be a challenging environment sometimes. But Instagram is very positive. It's a really supportive space. I have never come across, either for myself or for clients, with negativity there. So I really would encourage you, if you haven't explored that yet, to give it a go. I think it's a good space. Stories on Instagram are basically something that you can equally for Facebook, anyways, the same company. So stories for Facebook and for Instagram are short sort of slideshows, either in a form of a video or a photo or a string of photos that only appear on your profile for 24 hours. So because of their temporary format, people are often, you know, we are nosy, so we want to see what's happening type of thing. So people check them more often, and Instagram gives them higher visibility. And again, Facebook gives them higher visibility. I think there is a question.
Is it wise to search for existing customers on social media and try and connect with them? Or do we assume they would want to connect with us if they wanted? I don't know.
Interesting question. And again, business dependent. So if you are a psychotherapist, perhaps don't look for your clients on social media. But if you are just a normal, regular business, absolutely, yes, absolutely. And, you know, Instagram specifically, if we're talking about Instagram, gives us opportunity to search through location tags. So again, going back to search feature on Instagram, every single social media platform has a search feature built within the platform. So does Instagram. Remember to type hashtags for locations, hashtags for, yes, so here I'm thinking specifically about location or location tags. So if you explore the search button, you will see that you can find people who are posting within a specific area. It might be as small as Temple Fortune, and you will see the latest posts from that area or from different. So it's very interesting, actually. So you can find people who are most active there. What do they talk about? So great opportunity for engagement. I think connecting with former clients, absolutely. I do it.
Judith, does that answer your question? I'm just unmuting you.
Yes, that does. I'm just very concerned to be, I think I mentioned it to Joanna last week, just being what I call crass at the moment and looking, I say desperate, because we've taken the attitude that we're accepting that clients are concentrating on their health and welfare at the moment, and just trying to sort of stay a little bit quiet, but we're just not sure if we're doing the right thing.
Judith, what do you do, if I can ask?
We make jewellery, hand make private commissions. So there's a little bit of engaging we can do about how to clean your jewellery and things like that, but we're just concerned whether we should just be putting ourselves onto people in this way.
Actually, I was reading a few articles prior to the webinar as well, and I was looking at some examples from Anthropologie, so obviously a big business. I mean, for those of you who know, they sell clothes and stuff for the house as well. So the way they do it with clothes, obviously nobody's going anywhere, so there is no need for fantastic outfits, but the way they do it, they do things like holiday dreaming and, you know, sort of date night at home. So they still featuring their clothes, but the message is very subtle. So like I said earlier, there is not much buy now, or still there, but maybe slightly in a different form. And I actually saw something about the jewelry company. If I'll find it, Judith, I'll send it to Jo and she can share it with you. And effectively, I think there was a specific case study on a jewelry company where I think the founder kind of came in with the video. I know that that wouldn't appeal to everybody, but just as a sake of example. And she talked about how they are trying to keep the staff together still and keep their employees on. Hence, it's important for them to still, of course, trying to run the business. So it will really depend on what works for you. Going completely silent, I would worry that others won't. And in terms of your business, is this the best way forward? You need to make that judgment. Adjusting your message, 100%. Being considerate, yes. But going completely silent, that would probably worry me a little bit. And I think what you could do, have you done a little bit of a competitors analysis at the moment? Have you been looking at what other people are doing?
There's not many like us. We've done a few news stories, so if we've seen something in the news about gold or diamonds, we've you know, I don't know, not retweeted, but we've reposted that.
And you know, and I'm sure you would find a lot. I mean, on LBC only a few weeks ago, last week, they were talking about the jewelers that were sold by oh gosh, not Sophia Loren, Elizabeth Taylor?
Yeah.
Yes, so her jewelry, I thought, what a fascinating story. Yeah. And then they talked about the jewelry from, gosh, who was the American actress that one of the royal family sons got married to? Willis? Gosh, I've forgotten her name now, but she had a fantastic collection of jewelry, and there was a whole story about her arriving to Buckingham Palace and that it took two members of staff to carry the jewelry. So I think there is loads that's happening there that it's still connected to what you do, but maybe there is an element of entertainment, storytelling. I was
going to say that's quite a nice, like even telling stories of jewelry, like what, you know, especially from older people, you know, maybe kind of, that might be quite a nice idea to be able to kind of, because so much of the old jewelry tells a story, where it came from, what it was for. So that's
absolutely. And I would be proactive with research. I mean, I'll give you an example. I work with an architectural company that now is obviously a bit quiet, but they have a specific angle. They only do disabled access, so anything that brings equality and inclusion in terms of access. And we've been looking at what we can talk about, and there is so much posted at the moment about equal access, really throwing different things to the table, things like the fact that lockdown equalized opportunities, that people with limited mobility actually have a lot of things coming to them now, culturally, entertainment, they can participate a lot more. So we've been looking at different ways of sharing the message, not always about the business, because a lot of projects are on hold, but what can we talk about that's still connected to what they do, and that resonates in a positive way.
Okay, thank you, that's helpful.
Thank you, Julie. And oh yes, so IGTV would be perhaps my last recommendation here. IGTV is effectively Instagram TV, where you can post your own videos, a series of videos. So you know, you can create a few different parts to it. So there is obviously an element of anticipation. So you can start and say, hi, I'm creating a series of videos on da da da. I decided to split them into 5 different parts. And today we are focusing on perhaps Daniel for coaching business, really good idea. And you could start, you know, with a good headline, catchy thing that people really want to think about, changing mindset. I of course don't know Daniel's business, but I'm sure we could find something interesting. And today my tip number 1 is, and you go in, you know, with your talk, numbers, like sharing 3 top tips on da da da, and then I'll be coming back next week. I hope you'll be watching. So something that creates an engagement opportunity, and there is an anticipation for more. So great for education, great for entertainment. I mean, I've seen quite a few bakers doing things that way as well. Now I know that a lot of people have been crazy baking at home and, you know, making bread and all that. So loads of opportunities for food in that sense. I personally, I have great interest in well-being and social media and mental health. That's my personal semi-professional interest as well. So I'm talking about looking after your well-being online on social media, and the videos are being well received. So I have a series going on now about it. So think about perhaps putting yourself out there and testing IGTV.
And do you think that could work? We've had a question from Sumaya saying she works for a virtual assistant business, and she obviously thinks a lot of people are being furloughed, which might mean that business owners need more assistance. Do you have any tips on the best way to market themselves during this time?
So
could we use IGTV for that, do you think?
Personally, from the friends that I have who work as VAs, I know they have been pretty busy, but they are putting themselves out there. So I think, yes, I mean, I would probably even start with the video about the business. You know, how do I work? What do I do? Because very often people don't actually realize how a virtual assistant could help their business. And I think even making an educational video, this is how I fell into it. You know, this is how I help my business, my clients. But I'm sure we could explore a lot of more ideas here. Whoops.
Moving on to Facebook now.
Yes. So the last bit of advice. Here we are. Okay. So Facebook. Good old Facebook, of course, the largest social media platform, I think doesn't need any introduction, because most of us are active on Facebook. And again, a lot of more people going back to Facebook in the current time because of the need for connection. Facebook groups, I'm sure you know of Facebook groups, great opportunity to be of help, to add value to conversations. It's not really about selling, it's about becoming a valuable group member. So if there are groups that you could perhaps now make time to research and become involved and become helpful and visible there, great opportunity. So once people know you, they trust you, and when the time is right, you can talk about your business in those groups. Joe, do you have a question?
We had somebody saying, so 2 questions. 1, would you recommend different content on Facebook and Instagram, or sharing the same? That was 1 question. And then Philip was asking, do you have any ideas on how to promote a security company in this period, as there's no kind of schools or public places open, and there and I guess his security company would, you know, help with security from that perspective in those types of organizations.
Okay, so I will start maybe with the one that's easier for me to answer. So the first question was, Joe, can we please go back to the first question? What to post? Okay.
Would you recommend different content on Facebook and Instagram, or sharing the same?
I would recommend different content. And I know that I'm sure some of you are rolling your eyes thinking, how can I possibly add on to the workload that I already have? So maybe to cushion it a little bit, what I would do, you can still share the same post, but shorten your captions for Facebook, because Facebook doesn't like long captions. So we like a lot shorter captions. And on Instagram, we can take a lot more. On Instagram, once we know somebody, we can read through paragraphs. Facebook, that would be far too heavy. Facebook is great for resharing. So when you think about content creation on Instagram, you really have to work it, because on Instagram, you cannot share a link. The platform doesn't allow it. On Facebook, the beauty of sharing, this platform is made for sharing. So to give you an example, for the travel client, I'll just mention that because that's a real example. When we were looking at analysis of competitors, we've realized that their competition, the highest engagement was on their travel articles, but not from the company, from third parties, like Lonely Planet. So they would share a blog from another relevant source with an interesting caption, with a thought-provoking question, and that opens conversation. Conversation leads to comments, comments leads to higher visibility. So on Facebook, it doesn't always have to be yours. So go with resharing articles that are of value to your audience, but you add your own insight on the top and you start a conversation. The more engagement, the more visibility for you. So I would say shorter captions, resharing articles, and video for Facebook is very important. How to market a security company. I have to be honest, I have never worked with a security company. What I would think of, I would think about perhaps doing something for my community, getting in touch with my former clients, asking them, how can I help? Can I provide any exposure for you through my social media? And framing it from that end maybe, and saying, this is a fantastic company that we've been working with over the last 2 years, regardless of whether the contract is going on at the moment or not. And you can pre-agree that with the client and say, this is how they are coping in transition at the moment. So perhaps giving back at this stage. What else? I guess updating people on your business journey. This is how we feel about it. That's what we've been doing in the meantime. Maybe something a little bit more personal in that sense, because it really resonates. But to answer this in a proper way, I would probably have to do a bit of thinking on this one, because that's a specific one.
I'm just very aware of time. We're at 11:30. So is there any other specific points that would be worth focusing on for Facebook?
The last thing I would say, if you want to learn about Facebook, Facebook wants us to spend money on Facebook and advertise. Hence, they are providing a fantastic range of courses. Facebook Blueprint is a free way of learning about Facebook. I encourage you to explore their courses. They're very good and highly interactive.
Great. Any other slides, Joanna, or is that it?
This is us done.
Thank you. Has anybody else got any other final burning questions that we can put to Joanna? If not, I guess all I would like to say is thank you very, very, very much. I've got my clapping. That was really fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing you hopefully face to face, Joanna, because she did run our some digital training courses for us last year, and we'll definitely be back. So thank you so much, Joanna.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you. And please do feel free to get in touch with Joanna or us as well if you need us. Looking forward to seeing everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.